I'm Karen Barnes and I'm here on behalf of the Interflora Floristry Trade Club, and I'm going to show you a very simple design for Christmas or indeed winter if you changed or altered the flower content or the colours. So I've got this beautiful silver container which is a vase, or you could use it for a planted arrangement or anything like that. It's fabulous and it's quite deep. So what I've done is I've used quite a lot of the chicken mesh, which is green anneal, so it's not going to get rusty, and it's reusable over and over again. So I've pushed that into the container so that it's level with the top. And then just before I start, I'm going to show you what materials I've chosen. So I've got some lovely tall birch sticks, which are actually a natural material, but these have been dipped so that they look quite frosty and wintry and Christmassy. And then I've got some gorgeous burgundy astilbe. I've removed quite a lot of the foliage because, as you're probably aware, the foliage is the part of the stem that actually sort of, I'm not saying dies, but looks a little bit worse for wear rather than the flower, because the flower actually dries very well. Then I've got trailing amaranthus in this gorgeous sort of a raspberry colour. Again, I've taken a lot of the foliage off because, again, that's the one that will go yellow, whereas these beautiful trails, these lovely tails, just will hang here and dry perfectly on their own. Then I've got a couple of stems of mini cymbidium orchid. When I ordered these from Holland, I was hoping they were going to be a little bit richer in terms of the colour. So they're a little bit more of a bronze colour, but I'm going to work on that they've got a lovely burgundy throat, and hopefully the tones and everything will work out perfectly. And then finally, I just picked up some cones which have just been dipped with a little bit of the white dusting, so they look like the snow tips, so it gives that sort of wintry cold look. So without further ado, I'm going to start with placing the birch twigs. Now this is going to be quite tall, and depending on how thick you want this birch to look, you can add or as much as you want, as much as physically will go into the container. So I'm just going to push these in, and these are going to be the central part of the whole design, which will give the colouring of the container right through the design into the centre. So you can see that some of these are quite thick, so you may have to take those apart so that you can get them into the mesh, which, as you know, we're all trying to stay a little bit away from the foam, although I do know that the industry is working very hard to find alternatives to the foam that we're all used to working with, and we're all having to look at different ways of working these days, aren't we? So my chosen method today is the chicken mesh, which I've found actually for weddings and installations it works very well, providing you've got water sources around installations, etc., that you're using the chicken mesh. As long as the flowers and foliages are hydrated, then we're okay. And if you've got plenty of birch or plenty of materials, don't think that you have to use all of it. Sometimes less is a little bit more, and I know that's a cliche saying, but literally that's the rest of this birch. If I didn't want to use it in this, I could use this in many other designs, or cut it down and make little posies with fresh flowers or something. So, you know, it's not waste, it's just that I'm not using it all here. Then into the water, I'm going to put the astilbe, which will just thread very carefully into the birch. So it's almost going to be like something of intrigue that you can look into, almost like a little forest wood. So I'm just going to place that in, and it's lovely that I know that the water vessel, which is obviously watertight, just holds these stems with the chicken mesh. I'm going to put some in at the front now. These still be just the very form of it makes me feel like I'm in a Christmas woodland area, just with the form of and the shape of the flower. And again, you don't have to use all the stems, and you can make this on a much smaller scale, but it will just give some impact as people are walking in the shop or in your have them displayed in your windows. And it's very good is this design for corporate work, so that if you have, you know, hotels, offices that have large reception entrances, that you maybe want something that's going to look substantial, but is not going to take a lot of time to do, and will also be a talking point by visitors and employees that work in the building. I'm going to put in the orchids. Now, this is just going to be at the front there. I'm not going to have it at both sides. Just turn this round so I can see. Right, and then we have the gorgeous amaranthus. So I'm just going to have some of that trailing. Put that in at the side. How gorgeous is that? A little bit of cones in at the side. These again have come pre-wired, so I can do this myself, but it was just much quicker for today to buy them pre-wired. So, but that's entirely your option. So just a group of 3 of them at the side here. And I'm just going to turn this round again. Oh, yes. I'm complimenting myself on this. Oh yes, that's lovely. Put a few more cones in at the back so that the receptionist, if it was for a corporate client, is not actually seeing into the container. And then at the side here, I'm just going to put a little bit of this amaranthus. I've got a very tiny little one here, and that will balance at the other side. Remove that foliage. Make sure it's in the water. And I think, from what I can see, and that's your arrangement.